You're listening to the Telltale Channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Alpha Force Zero over here sent me this video of this girl who is absolutely psychotic. And I just want to listen to some of the crazy stuff she says. She's on TikTok.
Yes.
And she's talking about how awesome Charlie Kirk is and a bunch of other stuff.
By the way, for the people who might not know who I am, I'm Alpha Force Zero, AF0, his kid.
You know what's really interesting about Mamdani's government-run grocery store proposal? Those stores will not be selling alcohol, lottery tickets, or pork.
That's a lie. It's not true, first of all. And second, this is the broccoli haircut for women, right? That's what we're looking at here.
Interesting. I wonder where he could have possibly gotten those rules from.
Well, I'm wondering where you got it from. She just made this up right off the top of her head. This is not true. But, obviously she's implying he's imposing his religious beliefs on people incorrectly. It's not happening. But she doesn't have a problem with it when Christian nationalists impose their religious beliefs on people, right? She has nothing to say about it when Trump is pushing Christian nationalism on schools, on government, creating an anti-Christian bias task force and all that other nonsense.
Mind you, Mamdani's not mayor yet. He's not mayor for another month and a half.
January, yeah.
Yeah, January 1st, 2026, he becomes mayor, and he's not mayor until then.
Some might try to argue that it's for health reasons, and that might make sense when it comes to the alcohol, but not lottery. And you might say, well, he doesn't want to encourage gambling. Okay, but what about pork?
Again, this is just made up. She just completely made this up. She fabricated it out of the ether. Definitely following in Charlie Kirk's footsteps. Aside from that, I don't think that the state should be involved in selling alcohol, and I don't think they should be involved in selling lottery tickets, because those aren't necessities. The only reason I would want the state involved in selling food in the first place is to encourage competition, to make sure price gouging isn't happening. Because if the state is running a store at no profit, or the city, I guess, running a store at no profit, just operations costs or whatever, is going to encourage other stores to keep their prices low to compete with the state's or the city's store. It's a pro-capitalist thing to do. Pro-competition. That's good. Alcohol is not necessary to survive. Lottery tickets should be banned, in my opinion.
I'd argue that both of those things are the exact opposite of a necessity to survive.
Right. And, during COVID, they actually allowed liquor stores to stay open as an essential business or whatever. And I think I agree with that, because some people are addicted to liquor and need it to survive. Literally, you can die from alcohol withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I can see the reasoning there to keep it open or whatever. But I don't think we need to sell it in state stores. And I also don't think lottery tickets should be sold in state stores. Either way, I didn't hear, I think this is completely made up. I didn't hear anything about him not selling lottery tickets or alcohol. And he absolutely did not say he's not selling pork in these stores.
There's literally no downside to pork unless it was for religious reasons. Gee, I wonder why he would want the government to force a certain set of beliefs onto the rest of the people. I thought that this was supposed to be America, and
Suddenly she has a problem with that in this one very specific circumstance, but in no other, huh? I wonder how she feels about nativity scenes on public ground. Think she's complaining about that? I wonder how she feels about the city erecting crosses in parks. She complaining about that at all? Of course not, because it's not about religious separation of church and state. It's about her stupid BS persecution complex and hating Muslims. For the record, I am both opposed to crosses being erected in public parks, and I would be opposed to them not selling pork in a state store. But that's not real. It's made up. It's in her head.
That he was making these grocery stores to help people because they've notoriously done so well in all of these socialist countries. Are you waking up to...
Oh no. Are you conflating socialism and communism again? Do you know what the difference is? How old are you? What do you know?
What socialist countries is she referencing? Even modern day communist countries are not communist. They're not actually definitionally communist. So I don't know what she could possibly be referencing, even misreferencing.
Yeah, Russia, or the Soviet Union when it formed, embraced not communism, but I think they called it military communism, where they send the military into a town and they take all of their stuff and distribute it to the military. It was authoritarian looting is basically it. And people suffered terribly. There were black markets and everything. That wasn't communism exactly at all, really. Not that I'm a communist. I'm not a communist. But communism hasn't really existed in practice at all in the world. There are some countries that call themselves socialist, but I think that they're just as socialist as North Korea is democratic. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, they're not a democracy, obviously. And most of these countries aren't socialist countries either. Do you want to know a country that has socialist underpinnings, though? The Scandinavian countries, the Netherlands and Sweden and places like that. And they are like incredible, fantastic places to live. So you want to talk about real, actual, quote unquote, socialist countries? Look to those countries.
Emily Sigmund asked if withdrawal from one substance could be less dangerous or less difficult if you started taking another substance.
No. Alcohol will kill you, or can kill you if you're in withdrawal from it. But taking like an opiate to deal with your alcohol withdrawal, no, it doesn't really work at all. It's bizarre how it works on the body. Anyway, thanks for the question. I appreciate that.
In all of these socialist countries, are you waking up to what he really wants, right? Maybe he's not the moderate that you guys thought he was.
Wait, did somebody think he's a moderate?
He's never even claimed to be moderate. He didn't run on being a moderate. He ran on being pretty much what the right calls a crazy liberal.
A democratic socialist, quote.
Yeah, is what he said.
Or the term he uses, yeah. Which means he wants to democratize the workplace, which means in practice, he wants to make it so that companies, he doesn't want to force this. He wants to, as a democratic socialist, he wants to move society in this direction democratically. That's what that means. He wants to make it so that people who start new companies have a tendency to start worker co-op types of things where people in the company all own shares of the company. And if the company performs well, then they all benefit. It's a motivation to do your job well, to make the company prosper. They all vote on who their bosses are. The lowest paid employee votes on his boss, who votes on his boss all the way up the chain. Unions baked right into the system. That's kind of an ideal scenario in Mamdani's mind. It has nothing to do with moneyless, classless, stateless societies. That's communism, and that's not what he's shooting for. It has nothing to do with the government controlling the means of production and supply or any of that, which is what I think she is thinking when she says the word socialist incorrectly.
This is a man who has quite literally praised terrorists like the Holy Land Five. Maybe.
I'm sorry?
In what situation? Pull up a clip for me. Show us a clip right now. Praise terrorists. It's like the people saying he's going to start another 9/11. How? What could he possibly be doing? Also, yeah, he needs to be mayor of New York City to cause another 9/11. Mm-hmm. His goal here is to become mayor so that he can destroy the city he's currently mayor of.
Just complete nonsense. Let me see if I can find info on it. The Holy Land Five refers to 5 Palestinian American leaders of the Holy Land Foundation for Relief and Development, HLF. I've never heard of this organization, but apparently it's just like a group. Holy Land Foundation was the largest Muslim charity in the U.S. until December 2001, when it was designated a terrorist organization and shut down. In 2008, the 5 men were convicted. Oh, wait, I think I know who this is. They were designated a terrorist organization. In 2008, the 5 men were convicted of charges related to providing material support to Hamas, with sentences ranging from 15 to 65 years in prison. Wow. The case is controversial because the trial was criticized by NGOs, including Human Rights Watch, with civil rights attorney Emily Ratner noting the use of anonymous and hearsay evidence as constitutionally questionable. The defendants were never accused of directly funding terrorist organizations or terrorist attacks, nor were the Palestinian charities they funded. Much of the evidence was secret evidence, which the defense couldn't read. Holy Christ, that's insane. These people should not be in prison. Yes, Zoran Mamdani, a New York State Assemblyman and New York City mayor, soon to be, did praise the Holy Land Five in a 2017 rap song called Salam, saying, "My love to the Holy Land Five. You better look them up." That's insane, dude. I had no idea. There was no evidence presented against these people, and they're in prison for the rest of their lives. That is nuts. That is disturbing. So, okay, yeah, I guess so.
Really praise terrorists like the Holy Land Five. Maybe he's doing things behind the scenes in order to subvert the culture.
Maybe. Okay, well, we're going to need a little bit of evidence for you to make such a brazen, insane claim like that. So take your broccoli haircut and walk off into the sunset until you have that evidence for me.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Right? In order to force a certain belief system onto the rest of New York City, and you guys voted it into office.
Jesus. Yeah, voted it into office. So I go kind of scrolling through some of her other stuff, and it's all insane.
You know what I think is super fun and super cool and super fresh?
Tell me.
Thousands of people taking to the streets to fight for their rights, right? No king.
Oh, I think this is the No Kings protest. Okay.
Yeah.
No kings. We're going to stand up to Trump because he's a dictator and he's a king and he's a fascist and
Stuff that he said, by the way. He said
Yes.
I don't know what any of these words mean.
Okay, just because you don't know what they mean doesn't mean that there isn't a reality around this.
She's saying that we don't know what
I know.
Kings and
I know, but she definitely does not know what these words mean.
Just to go and elect a person who says on his first day in office, he's going to go in and pretty much take away private property from people who purchased it and make it government owned, right?
What? Hold on, I have a soundboard sound for this. What?
Stop it. Get some help.
What are you talking about? Is this Mamdani? She think Mamdani is going to take away private property? Is that what she just said?
Private property from people who purchased it and make it government owned, right? Because this is what Zoran Mamdani has been advocating for.
No, in no way, shape, or form does that represent reality.
The removal of private ownership. And trust me, that's not the only right he wants to take away
He didn't say that.
from you, and yet the left, right, the side of no kings is cheering for it, and they love it. And they think it's because it's safe, right?
I would not be in favor of that. Of him taking away private property that somebody paid for, I would not be in favor of that. I would be in favor of taxing the rich more, a lot more.
I can get off now. That's when I'm getting off anyways.
All right. Go ahead and, yeah. In no way, shape, or form did he advocate for taking people's private property away. That does not represent reality in any way.
I think we like this guy. We like what he stands for. So it's okay if the government becomes tyrannical over him because I don't care because
No.
I trust him. But what happens when a politician gets into office that you don't trust? Do you think that politician is going to say, oh, you know, that they, them with the blue hair, they really don't like me. So guess I'm just going to let the government give them their rights back. Newsflash, the government never gives you your rights back.
That's true. Government never gives rights back. I agree. Which is why it's so deeply disturbing that Trump is taking rights away. We're going to have to fight tooth and nail to get those rights back. It's going to take a generation to win that back. But she's not complaining about us losing rights. She's complaining about a fictional scenario she made up in her own head.
Once you let it go, once you become docile enough to give it up, yeah, you're never getting that back. So be careful what you wish for and who you elect in. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Be careful. Unfortunately, she supports Donald fucking Trump. This girl is completely unglued from reality. Completely. And there is no morality to be found here. Like, she is basement level morality. Just vile, disgusting positions. Listen to this one.
Is this a safe space to say that it's good that people are going to be struggling a little bit more rather than just living a cushy life off of taxpayer dimes? I'm sorry, but I am so sick and tired of what the social welfare network has become. It was never intended to be this way. I am all for helping my fellow American who's going through a rough time, but
obviously not.
That has to be it. It has to be temporary assistance while you get back on your feet. Not
vast majority of the time, it is temporary assistance. Almost always, first of all. Second, We all pay for that as taxpayers to make sure that that safety net is there. We can either live in a world where the bottom 10% of the country is suffering terribly out on the street, no food, literally starving to death, or there's a safety net where they can get food stamps if they need it. Now, which world do you want to live in? Where the bottom 10% of the country is suffering terribly, or where we all have a baseline level of subsistence or survival or whatever? You know, I was on food stamps for many years when I was younger, from 18 when my kid was born, clear through to 23, maybe 22. I was on food stamps that whole time. My kid had food stamps. Of course, it's hard for men to get food stamps when they need it, but I think I was getting maybe $500 a month for that period of time. What is that? $500 a month for 12 months for 5 years, say. That's $30,000. I've paid far more in taxes than that in the past 15 years since I had food stamps, or 10 years. Far more. So yeah, I was getting food stamps, but now I'm paying back into the system so other people can get food stamps if they need it. I'm a contributing tax-paying member of society, and that's usually the story of most people. That's usually how it goes. The thing that blows me away, that knocks my socks off, if you will, is that this girl is hyper-focused on food stamps, making sure that the bottom 10% of the country can not starve to death, but she hasn't said a fucking word about the $1 trillion defense budget or the literal billions of dollars in tax breaks. $3.7 trillion in tax cuts to the rich in the big beautiful bill. 3.7 trillion. That is an amount of money that is impossible to comprehend. It is so much. And you're complaining about the poorest people in the country having enough money to eat. What broke in your head that makes you think it's okay to attack people like this? Stop looking down. Look up. Look up, dumbass. They are the problem, not them. Them. But, you know, this really reveals what kind of person she is, doesn't it? It really shows us the priorities that she has. It shows us how willing she is, or how low she's willing to go to attack, demean, and humiliate people in the hardest moments of their lives, instead of taxing the rich more. Or hell, say nothing at all. That was an option she chose not to take. This girl is a disgusting human being. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally, so it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult, and you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that.
Some way of life. The American taxpayers are not your baby daddy. They are not your food bank. They are not here to pay your rent. You know what the rest of us do when we want to pay for those things? We get a job. And
most people on food stamps have a job, and those that don't, the vast majority have a child to take care of, so can't have a job because they have to take care of the child. And child care would literally cancel out like any money that they made, like, you know, working instead of whatever. People have jobs to do this. You know how hard it is to get on food stamps, especially for men? It's an uphill battle, bro, really. Nearly impossible. Again, you're punching down when you should be looking up at who is richer and what kind of tax breaks they're getting. Why the fuck are we just paying Elon Musk money? Just the government shelling out billions of dollars to his companies. Why? Why is that happening? Why is the government giving him tax breaks out the wazoo? And why aren't you bitching about that instead of this?
it's about damn time that some of you start following suit, because I have had it up to here. The amount of people who are on the system merely because they don't feel like working is absolutely ludicrous.
Oh, really? What's the number? Can you tell me the number? She's not listening. Of course you can't tell me the number. I guess this number depends on whether you're talking about able-bodied adults or adults with children having a child is an excuse to not have a job in my mind, because you can't, like, literally childcare is like $1,500 a month. And if you work at McDonald's full time, that's what you're making, $1,500 a month, basically. So that's totally reasonable in my mind. I'm just trying to find answers here. All right. Able-bodied adults without dependents. Approximately 12% of SNAP households heads in 2019. Looking at earlier data, it was around 8 to 9% of all SNAP participants, able-bodied adults without dependents. So there you go. That's roughly the percentage of people who don't have jobs, but potentially could have jobs. Like I said, I don't think I care. You know, my grandmother, well, it's actually my kid's grandmother, my kid's great-grandmother. It's her mom's mom, her mom's grandmother. She was a good person. Deep in her heart, she was a good person. I've never met a person as good inside as she was, Sue. And she died a couple years ago, and it was hard. She kept a Bible. She was a religious person, very, very Christian. She kept a Bible, and in her Bible, she had this. It's just like a little bracelet type of thing, just string. But I got her Bible, and I keep the string with me. She would never let a kid go hungry, even if she knew that kid was out of bed to take advantage, because they didn't want to go to bed right now. And they were looking for an excuse. Oh, I'm so hungry. Oh, I just want some water, because they didn't just want to lay down and go to sleep. She knew that was a possibility, that's what that kid was doing. But she couldn't bear the thought of a child going hungry. She could not bear the thought. So no matter how late it was, no matter what was going on, she would stop, make the kid some food, and send him back to bed. Because at the end of the day, to her, it meant more to make sure that people weren't hungry than to worry about them taking advantage of the system. It didn't matter if they were taking advantage, as long as there weren't hungry people. And I feel like we can learn a lesson from Sue. How many people are taking advantage of food stamps who don't really need it? Some. I know a couple. They're Republicans. Not zero. But in your effort to kick people off of food stamps, to quote unquote stop fraud, how many people are going to suffer terribly as a result who actually needed it? How many? 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 10,000? How many people are you willing to kick off of food stamps who genuinely really need it and are going to suffer? You're going to measurably increase suffering in the world to prevent some unknown number of people from taking advantage of this system. Some number that's certainly below 8 to 10% based on how many able-bodied adults without dependents are on it. You're going to cause mass suffering in the United States. For what gain? Like Sue, I believe it's better to make sure that everyone's taken care of and deal with the fact that there are some people that'll take advantage and try to weed that out if possible. But nobody should be going without food in the United States, the richest country on planet Earth. Instead of focusing on the fraud or the perceived fraud in the food stamp program, I think we should be focused on the $1 trillion defense budget that's higher than the next 12 countries combined, I believe, and the $3.7 trillion in tax cuts that Trump passed through the big, beautiful bill for his rich buddies. I'm not going to focus on people suffering. I'm going to focus on people who have it to lose.
There are so many things in life that I don't want to do, but I do it because I'm an adult, and that's what my responsibilities call for. You guys should probably start implementing that policy, otherwise you're going to be down on your just like you are right now and coming to the internet to cry about it. I don't feel sorry for you. You've had how much time to figure your out? This is not what it was ever meant to be. We should be completely getting rid of these SNAP debit cards, essentially, where people are going in, they're buying whatever they want pretty much, and then they're looking at you like you owe it to them.
Nobody's looking at anybody like anyone owes it to anybody else. But I don't want to live in a country with mass suffering, starving, and death. I don't want to live in a country like that. That's why I pay taxes, so that I don't have to live in a country like that. You do want to live in a country where there's mass starving, suffering, and death? I mean, you can scream until you're blue in the face that people need to get a job, but this is the state of the country. The vast majority of people who don't have jobs don't have one because of the state of the economy, not because they're lazy. People don't like not working by and large. She is a disgusting human being.
Don't owe you anything. You should be getting the bare minimum of the bare essentials, and that's it. What? Are we going to pay for your Oreos so that you can eat them until you're overweight, and now we have to pay for your healthcare too, otherwise we're bigots? I'm sorry, but I'm just sick of it. Take some accountability for where you are in life for once.
She is a disgusting fucking person, seriously. How did we get to the point in this country where it was acceptable to be like this? This is fucking vile. We need to get back to where Sue was. How did we deviate so much? How is it that I am now the traditionalist? I want to go back to a time when people weren't complete pieces of fucking like this. Disgusting, dude. Absolutely disgusting. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. So apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene is on Trump's bad side. He is fully turned on her. And I want to talk about why. It's fascinating. Listen to, I think this is Katie Collins from CNN. She kind of explains a little bit. We're going to look at Trump's Truth Central posts to see what, his truths, if you will, to see what he says about Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's bad. Oh my God.
Okay, so here's something you probably never thought you'd see, and that's President Trump attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene and saying that he's withdrawing his support for her. In a late post on Friday night on Truth Social, the president went on a rant against Marjorie Taylor Greene after she had been criticizing him lately, and he said that despite all the accomplishments he says he's achieved for the United States since retaking office, he says, quote, "All I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain." The president claims that he sent Marjorie Taylor Greene a poll showing that she shouldn't run for senator or governor in her home state of Georgia, something that has been a big question lately. And he says that ever since then, she has told many people that she is upset that he doesn't return her phone calls anymore. But
my understanding is that she wanted to run for senator of Georgia, and Trump said no. And Trump is the kingmaker in the Republican Party at this moment. Won't be for much longer, but he is. And that kind of got that upset her, that pissed her off. So she has turned on him, and she's decided to go more moderate. This is a complicated balance that she's trying to work on right now, because she knows that Donald Trump isn't going to be around for much longer in the presidency. It's going to be over either in 2026 when he's impeached or 2028 at the latest. There's absolutely no shot he goes beyond 2028. Even if he did run, half the states wouldn't include him on the ballot because it's unconstitutional, first of all. And second, he's too old. He's almost 80 now.
I think he is 80.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's
Maybe
old
not,
as sin.
check.
He's just not going to run again. I just don't believe that he will. And the intelligent people in MAGA can see that coming. They know that. They know that Trump is no longer politically valuable to them. In fact, Shane Vaughn, I don't know if you guys remember him, this guy here.
I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it.
That's Shane Vaughn. He was full Donald Trump, worked him into his theology even. Says that Donald Trump is like a theological figure, like the Son of Man, taking the place of Jesus. And he says Marco Rubio is his guy now. People are turning on Trump, or at least the people who realize that Donald Trump won't be around for much longer and are going to face legal consequences for what they've done. They are now turning on Donald Trump. And as soon as ICE members, for example, realize they signed a contract for 3 years, and at the end of those 3 years, when they finish their term, they're going to federal prison for the rest of their lives. When they connect those dots, they're going to turn on Trump too. Marjorie Taylor Greene just did it before the others. So I don't believe that she's turned over a new leaf or she's starting to see things differently or whatever. I don't believe that. She's still a massive, colossal scumbag, an evil piece of trash. And I wish to establish that for you today. But she's completely turned on Donald Trump. And she used the Epstein files and some other things as the pretext to do so.
Can Vance run in 2028?
Yes.
With Trump as his vice president?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think that's legal.
Trump turns 80 in June. So 6 months.
Even if Trump did run as the vice president, first of all, I don't believe that Trump would take second fiddle. I know that the goal would be for Vance to resign and Trump to step in. I don't believe he would even bother. He would just try to violate the Constitution, first of all. And second, he's too old. I just don't think that he's up to it. I don't believe that he wants to, in my personal opinion. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think so. Anyway, let's keep listening to this. And I intend to establish for you today that Marjorie Taylor Greene is still a vile piece of shit, as she's always been, and we shouldn't be considering her an ally now.
Then he cites all of the people that are in Congress and how busy he is. And he says, in leading an otherwise normal life, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. Here's what...
So that was Trump's response to Marjorie Taylor Greene saying Trump isn't even returning my calls anymore. I can't take a ranting lunatic's calls every day. Ouch.
Here's what MTG had to say. President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send him these text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge, the Epstein files. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example, to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files.
I would love it. Wait, she said these text messages? What text messages did she send? Are they going to get to it? I hope so.
The topic was the Epstein files.
Okay.
But I guess she didn't screenshot what her messages were, but yeah, her topic was the files.
I would love to know what she said.
She goes on to say, I have supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him even when almost all of the Republicans turned their back and denounced him. But I don't worship or serve Donald Trump
anymore. She certainly did.
Of course, this comes after Marjorie Taylor Greene has been critical of the White House, saying that they need to stop doing so much focus on foreign policy. They need to focus more on domestic policy, what the president had been running on the campaign trail.
Those eyebrows, though. I'm sorry. I don't like making fun of people's looks.
She's always very surprised.
Yeah, she's got to do something about that. That's rough.
And also where she broke with the president, including in interviews with me, saying that despite he says there's virtually no inflation and that grocery prices are down, she's argued the opposite. She's also broken with the White House when it comes to how they've handled the Jeffrey Epstein saga, as that's been playing out as well.
Saga?
Yeah, I mean, he's a pedophile, right? Trump is a pedo. I don't know how else to frame this or how to interpret this. That's just what it is. All right, so let me kind of establish for you that Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually a complete piece of trash. You guys know Nick Fuentes, right? I've talked about him a few times. Marjorie Taylor Greene went to Nick Fuentes' conference. Nick Fuentes started the America First Party and the America First Political Action Conference, AFPAC. This is Nick Fuentes' conference, and he introduced her at this.
My name is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I am the daughter of the King, the one true living God, the Alpha, the Omega, our Father in heaven, and I am a forgiven...
She's such a weirdo, dude.
The Alpha and the Omega. That's impressive.
Stupid. You know that's a quote from the Bible.
That's stupid. I hate the Bible.
Yeah.
Washed in the blood of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Why are they always talking about blood, getting blood on things, washing people in blood and wiping blood on chairs? Just no blood, please.
Have you read Julius Caesar?
What?
Have you read Julius Caesar? That's what it reminds me of. They, after they, the people stab Caesar, they literally take his blood coming from his body and just wash their hands with it.
Wow.
Their hands and their arms. That's what this reminds me of.
That is metal. You can hear him yelling Christ is King in the background. That is an inherently anti-Semitic dog whistle. They say Christ is King intentionally. I mean, this group specifically. You may say it because you're a Christian. This group says it because Jews can't say Christ is King because they don't believe it. It's an exclusionary phrase that they intentionally adopted to exclude Jews, according to Nick Fuentes, quote unquote. Now, these are Nazis. These are full-blown Hitler-loving, Sieg-heiling Nazis.
Praise God. Amen. Christ is King.
Anyway, so Marjorie Taylor Greene, in my opinion, has broken with Trump, at least in part, because Nick Fuentes also broke with Trump. This is Nick Fuentes fully breaking with MAGA.
I'm done playing these games. I just see these people. And for somebody that's been doing it for not even as long as him, but I've been doing this for 8 years since the first Trump administration started. I've seen it for so long, and Trump's just not getting it right. And I just shake my head. I see these people. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make our voice heard. We're going to tell them we really don't want an amnesty. And I just shake my head. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm not doing it. I won't do it. And I think the only solution is this. We need to burn our MAGA hats. I think that's a solution. That's the only language Trump will understand. He needs to be abandoned at this point. You bombed Iran. You're talking about an amnesty for illegals. And people say, well, maybe he'll do it. Maybe he won't. It doesn't. You shouldn't be talking about an amnesty. You said mass deportations. Now you're talking about we're going to let these illegals stay in our country and take our jobs. What was the point of any of it? And
I think that we can use Fuentes as a gauge for where Marjorie Taylor Greene is in her head. She's broken with Donald Trump, and she is on the side of Nick Fuentes in a lot of ways. She spoke at his conference. She has all the same beliefs. I think she's a Fuentes fan, honestly. Fuentes hates Trump now because, A, he recognizes that his role in politics is pretty much at its end and is going to end badly for everybody who supports Donald Trump after he's out of office. They're going to be embarrassed. They were not going to show their faces because they're going to be so shamed by supporting this monster. He knows that, and he's getting an early jump on it by distancing himself before legal action sets in. But the point is, don't forget what kind of person Marjorie Taylor Greene is.
Someone a second ago said, oh, at least it wasn't an Omegaverse reference. That's what I was referencing. I know she wasn't, but I was.
We're going to talk about what a piece of trash she is more in a second, but let's just read the tweets. Donald Trump says, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a disgrace to our great Republican Party.
She's only a disgrace now that she doesn't like him. Just take note of that.
Here's another interesting kind of tweet or whatever. Ben Shapiro claims Marjorie Taylor Greene supports the release of the Epstein files because she wants to destroy Trump's presidency. That's interesting. Why would releasing the Epstein files destroy Trump's presidency? I hear you asking. I think we're all asking that question. People have turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene fully, and I am all in for it. I love it. I love everything about it. And, you know, she has defended Trump in some real egregious stuff and some unforgivable stuff. Here's another really good tweet from Trump about her. Lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Brown. Green grass turns brown when it begins to rot. The joke's not funny if you have to explain it, Donald. Is it?
So stupid.
It is stupid. Betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left, performed poorly on the pathetic View, and became the rhino that we all know she always was. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a rhino, please. Just another fake politician, no different than Rand Paul Jr., Thomas Massey, who got caught being a full-fledged Republican in name only. Rhino! Make America great again. It's so stupid.
He really loves random capital letters.
He does.
Like, just capitalizing anything over there.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has moved away from being an extremist and is now trying to portray herself as a moderate, even though I feel I've established she's not, right? This is all an act. This is a lie that she's presenting to us. Listen to this.
But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
This is a media technique. She heard as soon as she stopped talking, but taking advantage of a lag gives you a second to think about what you're going to say. So people will just stay silent and think about it as long as they want if they're on a Zoom call or whatever like this.
That quote about how you didn't stand up for, what's the quote?
First they came for the communists, and then Yeah,
it's literally that quote, just in real time.
Yeah. First they came for the communists, and I said nothing because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the socialists. I said nothing because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I said nothing because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I said nothing because I wasn't a Jew. And then they came for me, and there's no one left to speak for me. Martin Niemöller, head of the Protestant church, or the confessing church, the opposition leader in the church to Hitler. Yeah. He was a Nazi, by the way. Niemöller was.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He voted for the Nazis in 1924, 28, and 33. Yeah.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Directed at you.
See the big long pause?
And I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country, and it's been something I've thought about
You literally laughed at Joe Biden's dead son. I don't want to hear it.
a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions, and I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And
I guess it's conceivable that she has decided to cool down her extremist rhetoric now after seeing what happened with Charlie Kirk. I believed that there were going to be pogroms, like full-blown going house to house murdering people type of thing. In retrospect, I can't believe that didn't happen. Actually, that did not happen. If the right person had been in the right place at the right time, they absolutely could have organized pogroms and gone house to house to everybody with a Biden sign on their yard or a bumper sticker, or Bernie bumper stickers or anything. They absolutely could have gone house to house and murdered people. That has happened countless times through history. And I'm telling you, we were this close after Charlie Kirk, this close. Maybe she saw that and she knew, she recognized it and said, holy, I don't want anything to do with this. But maybe I'm giving her too much credit.
need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
Respect each other with their disagreements. She's very different now, that's for sure. But let's not forget who she was. Listen to this.
And one more thing on that, you lucky people here in Alabama might get a knock on your door, because I hear Alabama might be one of the most unvaccinated states in the nation.
And she apparently believed the government was going to go around knocking on people's doors and forcing them to get vaccinated. Pure, unadulterated delusion. And what's the cure for that in her mind? People coming around knocking on your door, offering a vaccine. What's the cure?
Well, Joe Biden wants to come talk to you guys. He's going to be sending one of his police state friends to your front door to knock on the door, take down your name, your
Literally exactly what the Trump administration is doing.
address, your family members' names, your phone numbers, your cell phone numbers, probably ask for your social security number and whether you've taken the vaccine or not. Yeah, well, what they don't know is in the South, we all love our Second Amendment rights. And we're not real big on strangers showing up on our front door, are we?
Basically saying that she intended to shoot anybody, any vaccine workers. She intended to have them shot. She's encouraging people to shoot anybody who is going around offering vaccines. That was a proposed plan that I don't think actually happened. Go door to door offering a vaccine to people if they want it. And she said she wanted to shoot those people.
And it wasn't just people who are knocking on your door and offering a vaccine. She said, we don't take kindly to strangers coming up on our doorsteps. She just wants to shoot people. That was her goal there. Her goal was to justify shooting someone.
How about this one?
The fact, because we see all these sealed federal indictments, and we're seeing all these other things happen, and there's sources like, he's anonymous, Q is anonymous, but he seems to be completely for the good.
This is 2018, slightly before she won office, I believe.
He seems to be totally on Trump's side, and he seems to be very high up and connected. So because of those things, I'm becoming more hopeful, and I'm not being as pessimistic, and I'm trying to stop saying that's never going to happen, because I really think it might happen.
You delusional son of a... You manufactured this situation that we are now in. Or how about this one?
We'll continue on. He says, likewise, despite centuries of exclusion and robust evidence of continuing racism, minority underemployment is often couched in the language of bad choices and personal responsibility. I gotta tell you, anybody's unemployment has to do with bad choices and personal responsibility. And again, that does not...
That's complete nonsense. Your employment status largely has to do with the state of the economy at any given moment. It has nothing to do really with laziness or any of that. And she's looking for a reason. This conversation was about black people specifically. That's who she's talking about, black people.
Just to help you guys understand that a little bit more, I have a job now. I work at McDonald's. I applied to, I want to say 15 different fast food places in my area until I applied to McDonald's, and they accepted me after about a week of waiting. No other place responded to me. McDonald's accepted me after a little bit of a wait, wasn't terrible, but literally nowhere else responded to me, and they're fast food places. They are known for hiring literally anyone whenever.
Yeah, McDonald's is, they're not paying very much either.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like entry level, of course, but they're not paying enough for somebody to live off of.
A lot of my coworkers, I've spoken to them about how much we get paid. They were getting paid, I think it was $9 when they first started, and now some of them have worked here for 2 years and they're getting paid $12.50. That is absolutely insane and not enough for someone to live off of ever.
Yeah. So by the way, the name of this video is that I named it Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, says Tommy Tuberville isn't a racist. I know a ton of white people that are even lazier than black people.
Have a skin color. I know a ton of white people that are as lazy and sorry and probably worse than black people I know. And I would not hire them because they're lazy and they're sorry and they're pathetic. And
this is like so insanely racist, what she's saying right now. This is absurd.
that has everything to do with their bad choices and their personal responsibility. That is not a skin color issue either. That's a people issue.
Anyway, yeah, she's a piece of trash. And then there's this classic little ditty. Actually went viral on the TikTok when I covered this video. This is her going to the jail with the January 6th rioters, insurrectionists, with this piece of right here on the left. This is
Louis Gohmert?
Yes, Louis Gohmert.
It's
Louis
in your
Gohmert.
thing.
That was it. Yes, check the thing. That's a good idea. Louis Gohmert. He was voted out. He was a Texas Republican, dumbest congressman alive, maybe. And that's, you know, a low bar, or a high bar or whatever. But he was voted out. He and Marjorie Taylor Greene went to the January 6th jail, and immediately after January 6th, basically, and started pushing for them to be released and have good conditions and talk to them and all this other stupid
to match them. We have been denied the ability to go back and have a tour. We've been denied even a phone call and an answer back. So that's why we're here today at her office to say you need to give us a visit. You owe this to all of the people that we represent across the country. And then this city needs cleaned up. There's homeless people all over the city. Crime is out of
Bro, what does this have to do with literally anything?
control, and it has a jail that is clearly a dangerous place for people to be because they're dying last week. And
You give it a rest, dude. Clearly a dangerous place to be in jail. First of all, she didn't care about conditions for inmates until it was somebody that she liked. And the moment those people were out of jail, she suddenly didn't care about jail conditions anymore. So it obviously was not about that. It was about the people that she likes, trying to give them special favor, first of all. And second, they weren't mistreated. The January 6th insurrectionists, the traitors to the U.S. government, they were not mistreated. They were treated like every other inmate. I'm sorry you don't like being in jail. Don't commit an insurrection against the U.S. government next time.
And these pretrial January 6th defendants have been held months on end, being abused as political prisoners of war by not only federal judges.
If she believes they're prisoners of war, that kind of inherently means that she believes that they are from a different country, right? That they're part of a different country and deserve prisoner of war protections under the Geneva Conventions.
Political prisoners of war. That I saw someone a second ago, Emily Sigmund sent a super chat. She said, ever since slavery is outlawed, suddenly racists think black people are lazy. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Like, when you were forcing black people to do everything for you, it was normal and it wasn't an issue. But now that you can't force people to do stuff for you, suddenly they're lazy and terrible and they just don't want to do anything.
Just vile.
Prosecutors at the Department of Justice, but also the D.C. jail where Kathleen Landerkin is probably still the deputy warden.
Anyway, she just goes on like that. The point is that she's a piece of trash. She is just a disgusting piece of trash. And I have so many videos about her, but I have to pick out the good ones because we can only cover so much. Check, this is a really good one right here.
Congresswoman, I've got to play you this. It's about 20 seconds or so. This is Nancy Pelosi today literally talking about this idea of segregation, like literally putting unvaccinated House members in a different area. Have a look at this.
Yeah, dummy, because COVID was spreading and it was dangerous and killing people. Obviously, if you don't want to get vaccinated, you should stay separate from those who do want to be careful and be vaccinated and safe.
It's not segregating them, it's quarantine so that when this person has COVID, they don't spread it to everyone else and kill 15 people.
And since when do you have a problem with segregation exactly?
Right.
He doesn't. He doesn't have a problem with segregation. Never did.
He has a problem with something affecting him and hurting him, but it's fine when it's anyone else.
All right, once again, just like with Marjorie Taylor Greene going to the jail and complaining about conditions and then not saying another word about jail conditions after her friends were released.
This woman is mentally ill. You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens. So
She literally just said unvaccinated people are being treated like Jews during the Holocaust.
much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about.
Okay, call me when unvaccinated people are being put into chains and taken to gas chambers.
Vile dip is the only term that I think I can apply here.
When that starts happening, or when people are being killed over this, when millions of people are being persecuted and killed for
Mass murdered.
mass murdered for being anti-vax, I will stand up and I will say that that is wrong and that is evil. But that's not happening. It never has happened. You can't call us and say, hey, this is happening right now and show us, because it's not.
It's really disgusting that she made that comparison. And all that complaining that Trump does about how the left calls the right Nazis. Well, they are Nazis right now, especially Nick Fuentes. He's a self-avowed, Sieg-heiling, Hitler-loving Nazi. He describes himself that way. But she's literally calling the left Nazis. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. And then there's this video responding to that video.
What do you make of Laura Logan getting deplatformed and getting attacked for coming out and comparing him to Joseph Mengele? I think it's a very...
Fauci. She compared Fauci to Joseph Mengele, which is, do you know Mengele?
No.
He was a doctor at Auschwitz, the concentration camp. And he basically, when people get off the trains, he would go down the line and he would tell people left or right. And if they went to the left, for example, they would go to the crematorium, they would be killed. If they went to the right, they went to the work camp. And Mengele would pick people out specifically that he wanted to experiment on. And he did horrifying experiments on people, unspeakable, disturbing experiments that will keep you up at night. He looked for people with certain genetic traits, heterochromia, for example. He looked, where it has two different eye colors.
Mm-hmm.
He did experiments on twins or people with heterochromia or whatever. Just evil. He took a giant needle once, stuck it directly into the heart of somebody who was alive and awake and aware while this is happening, and injected a disease, malaria maybe, right into their heart just to see what would happen, see how long it would take for them to die or whatever. Live vivisections and things. I mean, really evil stuff. And they said, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Logan, Alex Jones, they said, Fauci is as bad as Mengele. There is no excuse for saying something so psychotic. That tells me you don't know anything about Mengele. You know what happened to Mengele at the end of the war? He escaped to Argentina and lived 40 more years happy and healthy died a peaceful death with no consequences, got remarried, had a good time over there in Argentina. Just evil.
Fair comparison.
I think it's a fair comparison that it's basically been one big human experiment, right? That's what
No, not right.
COVID-19 vaccines have been. That's what COVID-19 has been. So do I think Lara Logan should have been deplatformed or attacked for what she said? No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I tend to agree with Lara Logan, and I think most people do as well.
Anyway, so point is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is, in my mind, irredeemable. And if she wants to work with us, the left, if she's chosen to kind of veer left or whatever, I don't believe that's what's happening at all. But if she did, great. She can sit in the corner and work on whatever she's got going on to her heart's content. And I'll be over here working on my thing. And if we're working on the same thing, fantastic. One less person to fight. But I am not bringing her to my side. I am not platforming her. I am not rehabilitating her image. She is the lowest of the low, and it is unacceptable to bring her into the movement.
I think anyone who supported Trump and voted for Trump and then later on recognized, okay, Trump's evil and terrible and is now on our side is okay. But when you are someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or honestly, if J.D. Vance came out today and said, no, I hate Trump, just like Mike Pence did, I would not forgive him. These people work closely with Trump. They know what kind of person he is. Elon Musk knows what kind of person Trump is. They all do. They just don't care. And when you realize that, oh, Trump's no longer in power, and that's when you decide to turn, you are just as bad as him.
Absolutely. And for the record, TYT, Cenk Uygur, he had Marjorie Taylor Greene on. He interviewed her and tried to work with her or whatever. I don't know what he thinks he's accomplishing other than rehabilitating her reputation. My wife is a lawyer, and she works in coalitions with groups that we don't necessarily agree with everybody on everything, like the Lincoln Project. I don't think she works with the Lincoln Project, but just as an example, it's a group of Republicans that are anti-Trump. And that is somebody that I can understand a legal team working with their legal team to accomplish things, writing a bill, pooling resources to go and contact senators or whatever House members to sponsor a bill, that kind of thing. That type of coalition building, I'm all in. But what does Cenk Uygur think he's going to accomplish by working with Marjorie Taylor Greene exactly? He's not going to accomplish a damn thing except for rehabilitating a reputation, and I cannot abide by that. It's unacceptable. She's a monster. I will never work with her. I don't care how left she goes.
Someone pointed out that Vance is in reverse. He already said he hated Trump. Yeah, I realized that as I was saying it, he called him America's Hitler. Yeah. But also, here we are. He's working with America's Hitler. His words, by the way. So, irredeemable. He will never be forgiven, no matter when he turns or if he turns.
If Marjorie Taylor Greene and or J.D. Vance actually came out and said, I was wrong about all that stuff, and we do need universal health care. We do need to raise the cap on Social Security. We do need to take care of immigrants and, create a pathway to citizenship and get rid of ICE and all that stuff. If they did that, I'd be all in. I would work with them. I would be totally okay with that. I'm more than happy to be in a coalition with them and whatever. Rehabilitate the reputation. If they really turned left, I would say, look, this person has redeemed themselves and they've fixed the error of their ways and they have recognized the bad, stupid things that they did. That's not what's happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I don't know that even then. I think it would take them actively starting things to, actively signing petitions and giving away a ton of their money and whatever else.
Yeah, if they show me actively that they're genuine and they really are good people now, I think we need to give people a pathway to be redeemed. Mm-hmm. Like if she was not on the right anymore and she said, I am a Bernie Sanders supporter or whatever, if it was like that, we should give them a pathway to be redeemed.
That's why I say what I do about Trump supporters. A lot of them are idiots who don't know or don't do research outside of what they've been told. A lot of them are young people who grew up in conservative households. And that's why I think when a Trump supporter sits there and does their research and recognizes, okay, this is a little bit crazy, or when they see what Trump is doing now and they recognize, okay, he's kind of a bad person, I forgive them for making whatever mistake. But I think it takes them actively recognizing that they were wrong and actively looking at things, going through stuff, and trying to be a better person.
Absolutely.
To be forgiven.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene's not there.
Yeah. She's apologizing because she knows that if she doesn't, she will be dragged down at the same time Trump is.
In my opinion, yes. That being said, again, like, I'm glad that she's doing some of the things she's doing. It's good to see. She's decided she's not going to be a vile scumbag publicly anymore. Great. I'm so glad to hear that. But I'm going to need a little bit more before I accept her into my camp. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. So Elon Musk's dad came out and started talking about apartheid South Africa. And oh my God, dude, some of the stuff he said was absolutely wild. Just listen to what he says here. And I want to talk about the history of the family, because there is a storied history there about why they were even in South Africa in the first place. Listen to this.
The big concern at the moment, and why I think South Africa is a big talking point in the US right now, is America in the next 20 years will become, for the first time in its history, a minority white country.
Well, that will be a very, very bad thing to happen.
Okay, first of all, I don't know that that's even true. And second, why? Is that a bad thing? So what? Who cares?
And third, America has never been like an only white country. We have always been filled with many different people of many different backgrounds.
Yes,
That's
immigrants. Right?
That's literally what America was built on, immigrants. The first people to form this country, the founding fathers, were not native to America.
Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, so on and so forth, right? What happened to all of that?
Why are their names in Ellis Island? Because we took people in.
Question is, why is it bad to have immigrants? And you can come up with all kinds of, well, Elon Musk can come up with all kinds of bizarre explanations and reasons. They're doing an invasion. They're trying to take us over. It's a foreign invasion or whatever. Nonsense. But okay. But why is it bad to just have normal immigrants? That's not a reason to have, or that's not a reason to not have normal people just coming over here, emigrating. Why would you prefer German immigrants over Mexican immigrants? Is the real question. The answer is purely because they're white, and that's it. The only reason to be opposed to immigration is racism. That is it. Immigration helps the economy. It benefits the economy. It is dramatically helpful to have immigration in your country. There is no downside. So why does Elon Musk not want immigration? It is racism. That's it. That is the only reason. Let's keep listening to Elon Musk. Like I said, there's a whole family history here that I want to talk about in a second.
You want to see the US go down? Why? Oh, you don't like cars and electric cars, and you don't like technology, or what is it? You want to...
Why do you think that having immigrants in the country leads to destruction?
Is he from the US?
No.
Okay, what's his problem then? Like, okay.
He's a good immigrant, you see, because he's white. Again, there's a whole family history here that will shed a lot of light on this guy's psyche.
Go back to the jungle, or?
If the US becomes a minority white country.
Yes.
So there's Latinas, there's blacks, there's people from all different races make up the majority, and then, it could be 48% white people. Do you really think the US is doomed if it goes under?
Yes, it goes under then.
Seriously?
Yes, of course. You see, if you take South Africa, we have a small white population that projects the European culture, or what we learned from Europe.
And oppressed millions of black people.
No.
For decades.
How do you oppress? We gave them work. We fed them. They grew.
Holy dude, to say something like that about South Africa. The white people didn't oppress the black people in South Africa. How delusional do you have to be to say such a thing?
To say that white people didn't oppress black people in general is insane in any situation, because he says, oh, we gave them blah, 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 blah. Right. But at that time, you also took away their freedom, forced them to work in, like, for free, made them slaves, took away their ability to see their families in a lot of cases, took away their names. You took away people's names and their language. You cannot, in any situation, say that white people did not oppress black people.
All right, let's keep listening here.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
From a tiny little group into a massive group. That's not oppression. That's feeding them. Do you understand?
We fed them.
You only grow big if you get fed. You only start at 800 and become 50 million if you get fed. We fed them, for crying out loud. You know, enough with this nonsense.
But so you understand, because the...
I just want to clarify. The white people did not feed the black people in South Africa. The black people worked to feed themselves. They used their labor to generate revenue for themselves so they could feed themselves. This is reminiscent of this annoying perspective that business owners have a tendency to espouse. I'm responsible for 75 employees. I have to put food on their table. No, you don't. They are putting food on your table. I heard this from Cenk Uygur recently, and it just really annoyed me. What are you doing, Cenk Uygur, to put food on other people's table? You are a host on a show, and you make creative decisions for the creative direction of the show or whatever. There are 75 other people who are working themselves to the bone to make all of this actually happen. Editors, marketers, programmers to program, their website, other hosts, all kinds of different people who are working to keep this ship moving. And what are you doing? You're telling it where to move. That's it. That's not you putting food on people's tables. That's the exact same mindset. Job creator mindset. Those black people that were fed worked for that. You didn't feed them. They fed themselves with their work. No thanks to you. White people in South Africa were fighting the black people every step of the way and making it more difficult for them, making their lives harder for no reason. They would have prospered even more if it hadn't been for you. You were the problem. You are the common denominator. You are the issue, not them. This kind of mindset really annoys me.
We fed them, for crying out loud. You know, enough with this nonsense.
But so you understand, because the black population was so oppressed under apartheid.
Well, we never saw this oppression you're talking about.
There was no oppression under apartheid. Are you kidding me?
Never saw it.
No, I never saw it.
Yeah, but because you're white.
That's insane to say such a thing. There was no oppression under apartheid. Do you know they had something called the pencil test? Have you heard of this? The pencil test. If you can put a pencil in your hair and it stays, you're black. And that would determine whether you're allowed to drink from the same water fountain, use the same bathrooms, marry people. It's illegal to marry between black people and white people in South Africa at the time. You're black. I see what you're doing there. You got a pencil in your hair, and I can clearly see it staying. You're black. No marrying white people.
I'm laughing, but that is actually
insane.
Yeah.
They did.
And evil.
They did other things too. They had literacy tests, just like America did. They learned a lot of their little tactics from the United States. I mean, is it any surprise that Elon Musk is a vile, racist piece of trash? This is who he came from. This is what he grew up with. Now, I want to talk about the origins of the family.
Why does his dad have a British accent?
I'll tell you why. There's a group called Boers in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They are from Scandinavia, I believe, Scandinavian countries, and they're like Dutch or whatever. They came to South Africa in the 1500s, maybe, colonized it, oppressed the black people. They make up like 10% of the population, but they control like all of the wealth. And of course, it's segregated by law. You're not legally allowed to marry between black and white. This all ended in 91, I think, with Nelson Mandela, or 94 or somewhere in there. Apartheid ended. Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. So here's the story of the family. Elon Musk's grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, moved from Canada to South Africa in 1950, and he stated on the record that he did so in support of apartheid. This is right when the apartheid laws were being formally established. Before moving, Haldeman had been involved with Technocracy Incorporated in North America in the 1930s. According to Elon's father, Errol Musk, who we just listened to, Elon's maternal grandmother's parents, the Haldemans, came to South Africa from Canada because they sympathized with the Afrikaner government. They used to support Hitler and all that sort of stuff, quote unquote. They used to support Hitler and all that sort of stuff. There were a couple of websites that specifically interviewed Elon's family members. One of them was greenvillepost.com. The other was NJ Today. They interviewed these people and asked about the origins of it or whatever. This is a Newsweek article on it. South Africa has found itself at the unlikely center of an American political firestorm. Elon Musk, who grew up there during apartheid, weighing in repeatedly. This is written May 17th, 2025 on Newsweek, by the way. Last week, America welcomed first group of South African Afrikaans refugees to the country, a move which has proved contentious. Some dispute the validity of their refugee status, as others see double standards of this program amid Trump's immigration crackdown, which has resulted in others seeking asylum turned away. Yeah, there is no white genocide happening in South Africa. There never was. This is not delusion, but disinformation intended to destroy the reputation of black people in South Africa, to convince people that they're violent and all this other nonsense. South African government passed a law legalizing taking property from white people at will with no payment, so on and so forth. Anyway, the point is that Elon Musk's family specifically moved to South Africa because it was a racist environment and they liked that. They supported Hitler and they wanted to support another racist, vile, hateful government. So they found that one.
I would be very surprised if anyone in Elon Musk's family, especially during World War II, didn't like Hitler. Especially, now seeing...
Still do, I guess, huh?
Well, yeah, because now seeing, he clearly did a Nazi salute a while back. It's very obvious the kind of people he grew up with and grew up around. I don't know, I find it crazy that they are out here, saying how evil immigrants are and whatever else. Meanwhile, they are immigrants.
Yeah, but they're white immigrants, and that's what matters. It's not about immigration. It's about whiteness. It's about being white. That's what it boils down to for them. Anyway, that's Errol Musk, complete piece of trash, and his son Elon is also a piece of trash. You're just disgusting people. Tell me what you think in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they worked together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Meghan Kelly actually came out with an interesting take on Epstein and Trump. Just listen to what Meghan Kelly said.
This person has told me from the start, years and years ago,
talking about somebody she knows that she doesn't want to name,
that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this.
And you are repeating this view.
That he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. Mm-hmm. And I
that's not barely legal.
Yeah, that's still actively illegal for years. You still have years before it's legal.
Like what?
I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this.
Then why are you repeating it with absolutely no pushback?
And why are you repeating it and saying it incorrectly? Barely legal means 18, 19, 20. This is illegal. And you can't, even if you're reporting on someone's view, you can't say, oh, he was into the barely legal type, when it's just objectively false.
She's defending this, in effect, by presenting this as a legitimate viewpoint. She says, this isn't my viewpoint, but she's providing it as a viewpoint with zero pushback. This is her defending it.
Giving you facts.
I'm giving you facts, she says.
He wasn't into 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer.
I think kiddie porn was the slang term. There was always a more official term for it. She's acting like, snowflakes are changing words around or something. Like, please.
Also, she said 15 who could pass for younger, but a passerby would think, oh, they're legal. First of all, no 15-year-old looks 19 or 20. There's not a single 15-year-old out there who actually genuinely looks like 20 outside of social media. And also, if they look younger than they are, what 14, 13, 12-year-old looks 19, 20? What world is this not a defense?
She's just making excuses for a monster. And, part of me for a while kind of held some skepticism about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff because the right was making this big deal out of it, years ago. And I kind of wanted to get like a level head here and understand what was happening from an objective viewpoint. And the deeper that I dug into this, the more I came to find that he was a monster, like a truly evil, depraved human being, Jeffrey Epstein was. And Donald Trump knew that about him and accepted it and liked it about him and participated. Tens of thousands of videos of child sexual abuse material. Tens of thousands of videos of it. That is vile and evil and wrong. There's a point at which sexual involvement or whatever becomes less harmful on like a logarithmic scale. And you can look at this in studies. It starts at like 15, it's harmful, period. It's harmful. 16, still harmful, but less so. 17, still harmful, but less so. 18, and it keeps going down. 18 is about the point at which people can make their own choices about this, and it's okay. But it can still be harmful to people, and they need to come to this on their own terms and not have it pushed on them like Jeffrey Epstein was doing, right? That's why the age of consent is where it is, because it's actually damaging in odd ways you wouldn't expect. Let me show you an example. There's a website called Broken Crayons. When kids are taken advantage of, they show odd things that don't make any sense to adults, or that I certainly don't understand why this happens. When they've been taken advantage of at 8 years old, for example, they draw their abusers with pointy fingers and pointy teeth. There's something in our psychology that pushes us to kind of connect pointy things like sharp teeth with danger. And, 8-year-olds will draw that. Or having no arms. They draw pictures with no arms. It means they feel like they're helpless. You're looking at a drawing by an 8-year-old girl. That's her on the left with no arms. The smiling boy is her older brother, and the animal is how she drew her mom. Nobody knew at the time, but they were both abusing her. When the doctors found out, they looked back at this picture. That's when they realized the girl was floating with no arms and no mouth. They say this means she felt helpless and voiceless, a major clue of abuse in drawings. I'm going to have to censor some of the drawings as we go through. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but if you just... Some of them are... Here, this is a good one right here. Pointy fingers, pointy teeth, pointy toes on this one. Here's a drawing by an 8-year-old boy. He drew one of his dad's friends. The teacher didn't see anything wrong with it at the time. Then they found out the man was making the boy do bad things. Looking back at this drawing, the doctors saw how sharp the man's teeth and fingers were. It matched the way the other kids drew these things. Another sign found too late. The point is that it's mentally damaging, and it manifests itself in ways you wouldn't expect when kids experience things like this. And that goes all the way up to 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, even older for some people. Some people will experience emotional trauma that manifests in this kind of way all the way up to 20 years old in ways you just don't understand why your mind is doing this or whatever. So you can tell me until you're blue in the face, Meghan Kelly, that it's not 8-year-olds. We put the number at 18 as a society for a reason. Okay, it's damaging to people. It's harming people. It's not acceptable, especially if this dude is 60 years old, like Donald Trump was when he said, "Can you believe it? I'm going to be dating this 10-year-old girl in 10 years." It's dangerous to society and unacceptable is the point. And she's sitting here justifying it. Well, it's not pedophilia. It's iphibophilia. I don't care what you want to call it. It's damaging. It is damaging to people, and it should be banned.
Honest, I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Or anything else.
Well, she's suddenly denying that Epstein had any of these videos now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was under 10. I was under 14.
Bro, what? Are you kidding me? A ton of people have come out. There are like hundreds of victims that have come out and talked about this. Some very young, 13 years old. One girl, Katie Johnson, was 13, and she sued Donald Trump because the statute of limitations for a criminal charge was already up. So she sued him, claiming that he forced her to have a lesbian relationship with another girl in front of him. Donald Trump, not Epstein, Trump. And she withdrew the lawsuit because of the death threats that came. This is like years and years and years ago. Trump, the more I look into this, the more convinced I become that Donald Trump is a full co-conspirator with Epstein. Like they were involved with each other and working together.
When I first came within his purview, you can say that's a distinction without a difference. I think there is a difference. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know,
mentally, there isn't for those kids. There isn't a difference for them. Like, it's still damaging to those kids, and it's still morally wrong. Unfortunately, there is a high percentage of people in the world that are into 18 plus. That's why it's a category on a lot of adult entertainment websites, and that's just what it is. That's disturbing and odd to me, but not illegal. So I kind of and it's not hurting anybody like for 18 plus. So I guess I'm just, whatever. That's not my business, although I think it's creepy and odd. But a 15-year-old, 14, 13, 12-year-old being trafficked, and Donald Trump was his best friend for 10 years and knew and was there involved. Meghan Kelly is vile and evil to say something like this. This is wrong.
Yeah, whatever. It's sick. Because every time we start talking about Epstein, it makes your skin crawl. You're right. The whole thing is just disgusting.
Didn't she literally just justify all the stuff that he did? Didn't we just sit here for 2 minutes listening to her do that? What is wrong with her? I would have expected this from a male MAGA nutcase like Glenn Beck or something. But Meghan Kelly, why are you defending pedophiles? That is disgusting. Get help.
That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon.
I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon.
Okay, thanks for watching, guys.